Lynn Faulkner, everyone. Maylin. Welcome. Welcome, love, and blessings to each and every one of you. And we are in a brand new month, celebrating light. Are you all ready to celebrate some light this month? Like no other, like we've never celebrated before. So the reason why we are celebrating light this month, and today is coming out of the dark, is best shown by this very first slide that I have. You know, folks, when we walk in the light, we won't stumble in the darkness. So how many of you know what it feels like to stumble in the darkness? Maybe once or twice. Maybe once or twice. Until there was something, and we're going to talk about that today, what that something is. But there's this something that guided you to turn on the light within you. And when that happened, it's like a story that I shared probably about a year ago of walking into this dark room, not knowing anything that was there, and just groping and finding your way and trying to live life in the dark until somehow you were able to find the light switch. And the light came on, and everything made complete and total sense after that. Do you all know what I'm talking about? If you had that experience, exactly. So as we walk in the light, and that's on a minute-by-minute basis, day-by-day basis, as we choose to walk more in the light of our understanding, going by the spirit of our understanding, the God of our understanding, as we choose to walk in it, meaning to live it, to breathe it, to experience it, to acknowledge it, and to say yes to it, our stumbling subsides. And it's really a great and beautiful thing. And so once again, you know, I don't really want to make a habit out of this every Sunday, coming up and saying, okay, we've got some things going on the planet, things that have happened this week that were a little close to home and a little closer to home, that we all get to experience our own way of coping, understanding, realizing, and shining whatever light of our understanding on it that we can. And so let's go to the next slide, because it's a big part of what we're going to be talking about today. So what we have here, what we basically have is a bit of a misunderstanding going on, right? You know, the little dog, you got a problem, bro? Talking to the lampshade, right? So what this depicts, actually, in this visualization is sometimes things are not always what they seem. Things are not always what they appear, and we can have a misunderstanding about that, can't we? And there's nothing quicker that can take us out of acting and being in the light than having a misunderstanding about something. And typically what generally happens to us personally and in our humanness is when we have a misunderstanding about something, we tend to become a little fearful because we don't understand what's going on. We become a little intimidated maybe, so we have to kind of put up a little bit of a shield or a block or a stance, because we have to feel like to balance out this feeling of intimidation, just like the little dog here. That's what he's doing. But it's just a misunderstanding based on usually just one or two senses, and it's not the whole picture, is it? He doesn't have the whole picture, does he? He's talking to a lamp. He's not even talking to another dog. So we're going to dive into what that's all about. And another part about being in that ignorant state of mind is that's the beauty of what's happening right now for us, at least in this northern hemisphere, is we are in the darkness, folks. This darkness is good, and it provides us with this opportunity to symbolically go within. We go within, we become more prayerful, more meditative, more consciously aware of the truth within us instead of what is outside of us. And that's where we become more ingrained and more embodied in the God and the Spirit and the divine and the light of our understanding. It's a very good thing. And then there's something really special and symbolic that's going to happen at near the end of this month. Is we're going to be moving now out of that darkness and into the light. The days will start to get longer. And back a long time ago, I read accounts of this. I don't know this firsthand, but I know that the peoples and the cultures of a long time ago, when they noticed the days were shorter and the nights were longer, and they would wonder, is it going to keep going like this? Is there a time where we're not going to have the sun anymore? And so they would watch the sky and they would watch what would happen. And then all of a sudden, the days started getting longer again, and they would celebrate that. And so their life would wax and wane, with being a little fearful that the darkness was kind of looking like it was taking over. And then they saw that the lightness started coming out again. Have you ever experienced that in your life? Yeah. And that feeling of celebration when you become in tune, truly in tune with that light and that divineness of your understanding, and you realize, oh, there's this beautiful undertaking that takes place. And so, as I'd mentioned a second ago about also what's happening on our planet, I've only shared this with a couple of people, and only when people ask me. So I'm going to pretend you've asked me now, because I'm going to give you my little viewpoint or feedback on what I think is going on consciously, energetically with the planet. And that is, how many of you agree or know deep within your soul and your heart that there is a consciousness evolution taking place in the universe? Yay, all right. Well, I believe that too. And I also know and have seen firsthand in my life and with other people that whenever a big shift is taking place, what tends to happen to the oldness? What does it tend to start doing? Yeah, it wants to hang on because it knows its time is almost up. And so it puts in full force, and it's like, oh, I'm going to hang on, and I'm going to give this my final push, my final hour. And I believe that that's what's going on right now with what is sometimes called the draconian way of thinking, or that draconian consciousness. It's like in its midst, I see it holding on and giving it its one last hurrah before this immense consciousness of evolution, of positivity, of love, of peace, of oneness takes over. The sense of separation is experiencing its own death, and it's trying to hang on. And so that's what I feel like is what's going on planetarily for us. And there is something very important that we are being called to do and to be right now. So just think about that for a moment. What it is that we are being called to do and called to be. Because Viktor Frankl teaches that so well. And I know I've spoken of him before, and I've told the story of how he presented that to the world and how he truly got to resemble it and represent it when he was in the concentration camp. But I'm going to share with you a different viewpoint, one that is extremely current, that completely parallels Victor's viewpoint. And it's the little saying that the husband wrote up about his experience having lost his wife a couple of weeks ago in France. And it was the most beautiful writing. And I don't know if you guys had a chance to read it, but I'm going to share it with you. And I want you to know I'm going to do my best to get through it. So just hold the space and hold the energy for me, because he speaks it so eloquently. I couldn't do it any better. He says, "You cannot take my peace. You will not have my hatred. You want me to be afraid, to cast a mistrustful eye on my fellow citizen, to sacrifice." Can you turn this down just a little bit? I'm getting reverb. Thank you. "To sacrifice my freedom for security, you lost. On Friday night, you stole away the life of an exceptional being, the love of my life, the mother of my son, but you will not have my hatred. I will not give you the gift of hating you. You have obviously sought it, but to respond to it with anger would be to give in to the same ignorance that has made you act in the way that you did. You want me to be afraid, to cast a mistrustful eye on my fellow citizens? No, you lost. I am the same player in the same game. You know, I saw her this morning, finally, after nights and days of waiting, and she was just as beautiful as she was when she left on Friday evening, as beautiful as when I fell madly in love with her more than 12 years ago. Of course I'm devastated. Of course I am in grief. I will give you that. But this will be a short-term grief. I know that she will join us every day and that we will find each other again in the paradise of free souls. We are only two, my son and I, but we are more powerful than all of the world's armies. To any case, I have no more time to waste on you. I need to get back to Melville, who is waking up from his afternoon nap. He is just 17 months old, and he will eat his snack like every day. And then we are going to play like we do every day. And every day of his life, this little boy will insult what you are about with his happiness and with his freedom, because you don't have his hatred either. So folks, truly take in what that father is saying, because that is the most powerful, most exquisite, and simplest and most profound way that we can come out of the dark and shine our light on this last hoorah of this ignorant sense of separation that we are seeing going on right now on our planet. Because that's what we are being shown, but I assure you there is so much more connectedness going on, so much more love, so much more understanding, so much more. To the extent that this man lost his wife, his love of 12 years and the mother of his son, and he is rising above, knowing full well immediately that what is his to do is to live in love and freedom and play and to show his son a better way. So I am inviting all of us to come out of the darkness of any area of your life that you may be complaining about or judging or criticizing, feeling less than connected in any way, shape, or form. And if you need help, seek it, find it, get help. If you need more love, go towards the light of more love. If you need support, reach out and get support. And as you see those people around you in your life that look like they're needing that, then be that light for them. We had a beautiful service last Sunday where you guys got to come up and speak and share, and it was so eloquent and moving and profound. And just like Danielle shared last Sunday, the big part of this community is the love and the support that she got to experience firsthand when she needed it. And how many of you have felt support by being in this community ever? That's wonderful. And how many of you have been supportive by being in this community? Absolutely. That's it. That's what it's all about. And so there's this bigger picture going on of how we can, just like Viktor Frankl taught, and just how this beautiful man is teaching us, to not buy into the hatred, to not stay or drop down to that level of vibrational awareness that says an eye for an eye. Because my folks, that is not where the win is. The win is when we rise up and recognize and realize that we are truly all connected, that we are expressions of love, and that is always what wins. Always. Every single time. You know, in a lot of our teaching, just like the book Philosophy of Jesus that we just finished that class written by Ernest Holmes, and in the Beyond Limits class that we're teaching, in several areas it's written and spoken that we tend to only use 10% of our conscious awareness brain. And that means that 90% is the subconscious, is the unconscious. Wow, right? Yeah, I say wow to that. And the big part of coming out of the dark is moving ourselves from this area of ignorance of, I didn't even know what I didn't know, to moving into, well, now I know what I didn't know, to I know what I know. And when I know what I know, I can apply it, and I can live it, and I can breathe it, and I can experience it and dance it. Just like this man writing about his wife, he knows what he knows about love and about what truly wins. So Ernest Holmes says this: there is one spirit incarnated in everyone, an immortal presence causing everyone to live. What a difference it would make in our human relationships if we tried to sense the full meaning of the divine incarnation in all people and adjusted our viewpoint to the truth that we are all bound together in the unity of God. So that reminds me, can I go to the next? This is what Araya Mountain Dreamer says it beautifully here. There is a way to be with anger and fear and grief, a way to hold them so much, with so much tenderness, that terror cannot take root. Let us make a light of that tenderness, leaning into each other, feeding each other, and creating together a heart that can hold it all. You see, life, there's no promises that there's not going to be anger and grief and sadness and turmoil in our lives, is there? Has anybody lived a life that doesn't have any of those exist? I don't think so. Yet there's something really beautiful when we're not stumbling in the dark and when we're led by light, is that we are able to hold and experience these things in a vessel that vibrates at an energy, a higher energy level, that allows it to actually create more light in the world and not reflect anger or terror. Do you feel the difference in that energy even as I speak it? There is a difference there. And so truly I believe that there is a center within each one of us that holds the light of the divine. And I know that as we are more familiar with it, as we become more ingrained in this beautiful relationship with it, we are able to create the vessels. We're able to hold in such a way that terror cannot take root. The only thing that happens is tenderness and sharing of more light. And so can we go to the next slide, please? So here's our Rumiism for the day. The lamps are different, but the light is the same. That we're finding that over and over and over again, especially now, because the light's being shown on the differences. The light's being shown on the differences because for some reason, some areas in this world want us to be terrified. I don't know why, and I don't really care because I don't want to put any energy into that. But there's a lot of light being shown to point out how we're all different and how we need to watch our back and how we need to be afraid. I'm not buying into that because I know something a little bit deeper. I know something more profound, and that's that we are truly all the same. We are all the same because we're connected and we all come from the same source. And so just like the lamp and the little dog where he was like, hey bro, you got a problem? There's that element of seeing there's a separation there between him and the lamp. And so there's that bristling that I was talking about, that needing to be defensive or creating a story just based on something that we're seeing. I'm inviting us to not do that, folks. Step away from it. Don't be guided by anything that does not feel like it's coming from love. Don't be guided by that. Be guided with what we know is true. The light is the same. I was invited to speak at an interfaith event that was going on in downtown Denver, and their slogan, their title was standing for peace against terrorism or something like that. And I wrote to them and said, I am all about standing for peace, and I am all about shining the light on the fact that we are truly all spiritual beings in any way, shape, or form that we choose to know that and worship that is beautiful, and I accept that. But I certainly could never be against anything, because do you see how that's the energy that we're playing into it? Mother Teresa said it beautifully. You want to celebrate our oneness, great, I'm right there. You want to march for peace and celebrate peace, I'm there. But I will not be against anything. Because the second I'm against terrorism, what am I doing? Separation. I'm pushing against that which I don't care to put any energy into. And so is there any area in our life where we feel like we're against something? Because I guarantee you, once you let that wall down, just like the Berlin Wall, folks, once you let that wall down and let it crumble and dissolve and become one with whatever it is that you're pushing against, whatever it is, it will dissolve and turn into a peaceful experience every single time. It will dissolve the fear that's causing the need to push against it in the first place, which is exactly what we're wanting to do, right? It's what I want to do, for sure, absolutely. So if we could go to the next slide. Scott Stebel says this perfectly. Let the violence and pain in our world root you even more deeply in your commitment to be kinder and to love harder, no matter the person or circumstance. Your great ability to love has everything to do with creating a more peaceful reality on our planet. Your love matters. It makes a critical difference to help us all. Next slide, please. So, there's a reason why I'm putting this up here, and that is this. Forces gathering are complete when I let myself know about them. I and you are a force for gladness, joy, and happiness. I and you can be a force for the exact opposite too. Which do you choose in your life? Which do you choose? Because the universe supports us in every way. And if we believe that something's against us, and if we believe that we're not supported, guess what? The universe is going to show up and say, yes, you are absolutely correct. But that's not really what I know in our hearts that we want, right? So I invite you to go within and truly decide what you want in your heart. And only give that energy. Only give your energy to that. May the force be with you. I wanted you to know, most of you probably don't know this, but George Lucas was a religious scientist. And when he wrote Star Wars, the force is exactly what it is that we teach. It's that idea that the universe is all connected with us in energy. And whenever he put that in the movie, may the force be with you, it's exactly what it means. May the force be with you. Use the force, which is the light of our God, of our understanding that is within each one of us. And as we move out of the darkness and stop stumbling and shine the light of what we know is within us into our world, it illuminates so much more than we understood before. So when may the force be with you, you're utilizing that to co-create with the divine spirit and energy that is unlimited, a life that is filled with light and joy and understanding and peace, love, embracing humanity, showing up, beaming, radiating. And you get to shine that light and most likely illuminate paths for other people that may be stumbling in the dark. And that's an absolute beautiful thing, folks. It's a beautiful thing. So these forces that are gathering and that you know are complete, you get to choose that. What do you choose today? What do you choose as we go through this month of celebrating light, of celebrating service? Will you choose to turn off the terror? Will you choose to turn off the fear, turn off the sense of separation, and open up to and shine your light on it? So that that very last little bit of separation that's holding on will then eventually let go and dissolve. And we will truly experience what we know already exists, and that is complete connection, divine love, truth, light, faith, peace, joy, and connectedness in every single one of us, all in the universe. So stand with your brothers and sisters, stand with your community for love and joy and peace. And if you feel yourself being drawn into this idea of separation, an idea of putting up your defenses, of being intimidated, so you feel you need to push back, stop. Gently, gently hold yourself. And turn to the truth that's within you. Shine the light that's within you. Let us go into prayer now. Let us just anchor what it is that we are holding in our heart and knowing and proclaiming a greater truth for right here and right now. That is that there is an energy. There's an energy going on in all areas, inside myself, inside each one of us, inside this planet. This energy is definitely guided by an infinite intelligence. There is a perfect pattern unfolding, and we are connected to that perfect pattern. We are a part of the co-creation of what it is that we are experiencing in our life and in our world. And being a part of this co-creation means that we get to shine our light. We get to know and say yes to peace, to prosperity, to joy, to light. We get to rise to a level of vibrational alignment and consciousness with that is the truth, that it is the highest representation of the divine. And anything that is not vibrating at that level of understanding, that level of love and peace and joy and health, must dissolve. It holds no power except the power that you choose to give it. And so right now, today, we are affirming what it is that we choose. We are affirming light and peace and joy, love, harmony, knowledge, intelligence, wisdom, freedom. We are celebrating that and acknowledging that in a big way today. And our lights are shining so bright that it is illuminating paths of others, so that there is a lot less stumbling in this universe and a lot more singing, a lot more celebrating of the light. With a heart filled with gratitude, I know that this is so, and I just simply allow it to be, as together we proclaim, and so it is.